Now that we have defined the term nishtha, let us take the sutram which prescribes the affix nishtha. And that sutram is 32102. Sutram is simply nishtha. This sutram comes in the adhikara of bhute, which starts from 3284 bhute. That adhikara goes all the way up to 32122, which is right before Vartamane Lat. From 32123 Vartamane Lat, Vartamane starts. So just prior to that, up to 32122, there ends the Bhute Adhikara. So in this Adhikara of Bhute comes the Sutram Nishtha. Now, as we have already warned before, that this same Sutram means Sutram which has the same wording, Nishtha, occurs in the Ashtadhyayi in one more location. And that is actually 2236. 2236 Nishtha. That sutram also we will study, but that sutram is concerning Bahuvrihi compounds. So when we study compounds in detail, we will look at that sutram. But for right now, we are focusing on the sutram 32102 Nishtha. Let's look at the vritti of this sutram. It says, Bhutartha vritter dhator nishtha syat. Bhutartha vritter dhator nishtha syat. Whenever you study a sutram, immediately read the vritti, so that will simplify the sutram and give you the complete meaning of the sutram with the anuvritti, etc. in that. So here what it means is that the affix nishtha, which means kta or ktavatu, may be used after a verbal root, following a verbal root, which is expressing an action which has taken place in the past, expressing a past tense. That is meant by bhutartha vrittehe, which means that the verbal root is expressing an action which has taken place in the past. So following such a verbal root, the affix nishtha may be used. Now recall a sutram kartarikrit 3467 as the default every krit pratyaya, which includes the nishtha pratyaya, because the adhikara of kridating starts from 3193, goes all the way to the end of chapter 3. And this sutram 32102, which is prescribing the nishtha pratyaya, comes in this adhikara of kridating. So nishtha pratyaya is a krit pratyaya, and every krit pratyaya as a default by 3467 is used kartari to denote the agent of the action. But also recall a sutram 3470 which we have studied. It says tayoreva krityakta khalarthaha. Tayoreva krityakta khalarthaha. We studied this sutram when we were studying the kritya pratyaha, the potential participles. But now we are studying the nishtha pratyaha, which is kta or ktavatu. 3470 includes the term kta, because tayoreva kritya kta khalarthaha. So the kta pratyaha may be used only in the passive, tayoreva, bhavakarmanoho eva. So among these two, kta and ktavatu, the big difference here is that the affix ktavatu is used in the active sense, in the sense of the agent of the action. That is the default 3467 kartari krit. But in the case of the kta pratyaha comes the special rule 3470, which says that this affix kta is to be used only in the passive. So that is a very big difference. So that is why the kta is a passive affix, while the ktavatu is active, used in the active sense, I should say. So kta was used in the passive sense and ktavatu is used in the active sense. So that's a very important difference. So please mark that. So Siddhanta Kaumudi says, Tatra tayoreva krityakta khanarthaha iti bhavakarmanoho ktaha. So ktaha is used bhavakarmanoho in the passive. And again, what is bhava? Bhava is to simply express the meaning of the verbal root, the action that's taking place. So the act of whatever. For example, you say snatam maya, means the act of bathing was done by me. Like that. So the act of this, the action, simply the action, not an object, just the action, the verbal activity. While karma is of course the object of the action. For example, Stuto maya Vishnuhu. Lord Vishnu was praised by me. Now Vishnu is the object of the praise. So this is a karmani prayogaha. While snatam maya is a bhave prayogaha. We have seen this many times before, that bhave simply expresses the action, while karma means it's a transitive usage, what you call in English a transitive usage. But the bottom line is that this affix kta may be used only in the passive bhava karmanoho, while the affix ktavatu, the Kaumudi says, Kartari krit iti kartari ktavatuhu. So ktavatuhu is used in the default active usage to express the agent of the action. So please keep this very important difference in mind. Okay, let us take a example. Snatam maya. Snatam maya. Now snatam, here the dhatuhu shna shauche is used in the sense of cleaning or bathing. So this is a akarmaka dhatu, the act of bathing. There is no object of that. So if we don't say bathing who or bathing what, it is just the act of bathing, cleaning. So in the regular non-causative sense, this is a akarmaka dhatu. When you bathe somebody else, that is a causative usage. That is different. But right now we're not using a causative form. We're just taking the shuddha dhatuhu, the non-causative form. So this being a akarmaka dhatuhu, we cannot have a karmani prayogaha. We can have only a bhavi prayogaha in the passive. So to express an action done in the past, this affix nishtha may be used following this verbal root. Verbal root is shna, and then we use dhatva deshasaha 6164. So the adi shakaraha becomes a dantya sakaraha. Then following that, nimittasyapaye naimittikasyaapyapayaha. After the murdhanya shakaraha becomes a sakaraha, there is no longer a nimittam for the hnatvam, because the nakaraha of sna became a nakaraha because there was a murdhanya shakaraha immediately prior to it. So we used rashabhyam nonas saman pade. But now, after applying dhatva deshasaha, once the murdhanya shakara is replaced by sakaraha, there is no longer a nimittam for natvam. So therefore the nakaraha reverts to the nakaraha. So we get sna. So following sna, we use the passive affix kta to express this action which was done in the past. And in the kta pratyaha remudit letter kakara sit sanya balashakvatadjite tasya lopaha. So we get sna ta. One very important thing here is that this affix is a val adi pratyaha. It's a val adi pratyaha. So we have to check for the idagamaha. Ardhadhatukasya valadehe 7 to 35, but then comes 7 to 10. Ekacha upadesha nudattat. Ekacha upadesha nudattat. So this dhatu sna is a nudattopadeshaha. So therefore the in nishedha is done by 7 to 10. So we get the form snata. Snata. So remember one thing is that when you say bhave, just to express the action, the act, it is, we use the neuter gender by samanya napumsakam and also ekavachanam, because it is a action, a single action. So it is going to be ekavachanam. So ekavachanam and napumsakalingam. So we now decline snata in napumsakalinge in ekavachanam. So we take snata plus su and then atom 7124 adeshaha and then amipurvaha. We get snatam. So we get maya snatam. We can say maya snatam, tvaya snatam, asmavis snatam, anyena snatam. The snatam will not change. Snatam does not change because the action is done by me, by you, by many people, by others. Still there is only one action being done. So the action does not change. Snatam does not change. Even if the doer changes, the action itself does not change. So become maya snatam, guruna snatam, sarvaihi snatam ityadi. Okay, so this is an example of how to use the kta pratyaha bhave. Similarly, we can have usages such as balakena suptam, vrikshaihi kampitam, etc. So the act of sleeping was done by the boy, the act of shaking was done by the trees, and so on. In English, we would simply say the boy slept or the trees shook. But here in Sanskritam, we use a bhave pragaha. We say balakena suptam, vrikshaihi kampitam, and so on. This is the bhave pragaha. Okay, let's take an example where we have a sakarmaka dhatu and we have a karmani pragaha. So we can say suto maya Vishnuhu, Lord Vishnu was praised by me, Here the verbal root is shtui stutau. The ending nyakaraha gets the itsanya bhalantyam tasya lopaha. And same as before, we replace the adi murdhanya shakaraha by a dantya sakaraha by dhatva deshasaha. Then following that, the takaraha which came by shtuna shtuhu now reverts back to a takaraha. So we get stu. Now to express an action done in the past, we can use the pratyaha kta. So Vishnu was praised by me. So we take the dhatus to add the kta pratyaya, and same as before, the kakara has the it sanya balashakvatadite tasya lopaha, and then we check for the idagamaha. This dhatu is also anudatta upadeshaha, so in nishedaha by 7 to 10. Ekacha upadesha anudattat. Very important to always check for the idagamaha. So idagamaha, which would have been done by 7 to 35, ardhadhatakasya valadehe, is stopped by 7 to 10. Ekacha upadesha anudattat. Now this form stuta is now going to express the object of the action. So it is going to take the gender number of the object, in this case Vishnuhu. So Vishnuhu being masculine and singular, Suta also will be declined, Pullinge and Ekavachanam. So when we say Maya Stuto Vishnuhu, we take Stuta which has the Pratipadika Sanya by Krit Tadita Samasascha 1 to 46 and decline it here like Rama Shabdaha. So we get the form Stutaha as Prathama Ekavachanam. Here also, since the affix Kta is not describing the agent, it is describing the object, so when the agent changes, there is no difference in the form of Stutaha. For example, Maya Stuto Vishnuho, Tena Stutaha, Asmabhistutaha, Sarvaihistutaha, Tabhyam Stutaha. Whatever we do, since the affix Kta is not describing the agent, it is describing the object, as per Tayoreva Krityaktak Khalarthaha 3470. So therefore when the agent changes, the form Stutaha does not change. But when the object changes, then we will have to change the form. For example, Maya Stuta Devi. Devi Maya Stuta. No Stuta, because now Devi is a Stilinga Pratipadikam. So we have to make it a feminine form and add the affix stop by a Jadyata stop and then get the form Stuta. So Maya Stuta Devi. And similarly with regard to the Vachanam, the number, singular, plural, etc. Devaha Maya Stutaha. Maya Stutaha Devaha. When the object of the praise is plural, then the stuta, the participle, will also match that because this is a karmani prayogaha. Basically, the declension of this form will match the declension of the object of the action. So this is how this affix kta is used, karmani, to denote the object of the action. Now let's take a look at the affix ktavatu. Now this one is used kartari by kartari krit. Kartari krit. In the case of the kta pratyaha, what happened was that 3470 tayoreva krityakta kanarthaha intervened. It is apavada for kartari krit. When in the case of ktavatu, there is no apavada because ktavatu is not listed in 3470. So ktavatu is used kartari by 3467 kartari krit. Let's take an example of that. Say Vishwam Kritavan Vishnuhu. Vishwam Kritavan Vishnuhu. Lord Vishnuhu created the world. Created the world. So here we are using this affix ktavatu to describe an action in the past, but to express the agent of the action in the sense of the agent, not the object. So Vishnu is the one who created. He was the creator. He was not the one who was created, but he created the world. So it is used in the active sense. Still in the past tense, but it is used to denote the agent of the action. Here, of course, the verbal root is dikring karane. So we take kru and add the pratyaha ktavatu. The kakara gets the itsanya by lashakvatadhite. The ending ukaraha gets the itsanya by upadeshe jananasika it and then tasya lopaha. So now we have kru plus tavat. Here also we will check for the idagamaha by 7 to 35. Ardhatukasya valadehe id praptaha. Then by 7 to 10, ekacha upadesha anudattat in nishedha, because kru is also, the kring is also a anudatta upadesha dhatuho. So the idagama is stopped. We get the pratipadikam kritavat. Of course, it gets the pratipadika sanya by krit tadita samasascha. So we get the pratipadikam kritavat. When we decline this form, we have to decline it to match Vishnu, because it is in the sense of the agent of the action, Vishnu being the agent. So kritavat should also be declined now pullinge and ekavachanam. So if we take prathama vibhakti, we get the form kritavan, just like we get the form bhagavan when we decline bhagavat. Pullinge prathama ekavachanam. We won't repeat all the steps here. We already studied those in great detail when we studied the declensions. So here when the agent changes, we'll have to change the declension also. For example, Vishwam Kritavantaha Devaha. which when we apply the Sandhi rules becomes Vishwam Kritavanto Devaha. If you make it feminine, if you make the agent feminine, Vishwam Kritavati Devi, and so on and so forth. Because this affix Tavatu, as we said, by 3467 Kartari Krit, it is used to denote the agent of the action. But now, if the object changes, it will not affect the declension of Kritavat. We can say Sarvani Bhutani Kritavan Vishnuho. So even the object changes, of course, the declension of Kritavat does not change because it is not used in the sense of object, it is used in the sense of the agent. One small detail here is that technically to complete this sentence we have to use a tingantam padam because ekating vakyam. To have a complete sentence we have to have a tingantam. So really what we should say is that Vishwam Krutavan asti Vishnuho. Krutavan asti because Vishnu is the one who created the world. So similarly we say Aham phalam bhuktavan asmi. I am the one who ate the fruit. Like in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11. Drishtavanasi mam yatha. This is verse number 53, chapter 11. Drishtavanasi. So you are the one who saw me. Drishtavanasi. Which means you saw me. But technically speaking, it should be you are the one who saw me. Drishtavanasi mam yatha. Bhagavad Gita. So we should technically be using the appropriate form of this dhatu or similar dhatu to finish this sentence, but that is understood in the sentence, so that is often left out. We just say that aham gruham gatavan, for example, I went home. You don't say aham gruham gatavan asmi because we can say, but we can also leave it out because it is understood.